Hey boys and girls, it's Miss Carmichael again. Alright, so I want to go over some of these 3D shapes again, alright? So here I have the rectangular prism. It looks just like a rectangle, but it's in a 3D shape form, so we're going to call this a rectangular prism. And what I want you to remember when you're counting the faces, which are these flat areas, to remember that there's not just one face here, that it is 3D. So when you're counting it, all the parts of it have to be counted. So like my cube here, my cube is the shape of a square right here, but it's in its 3D shape form, so we call it a cube. And it has 6 faces because 1 here, 2, 3, 1 on the back, 4, 5, and 6. So you look at it, you got to count all the flat sides of it. All right, and remember, what do we call these edges, these corners right here? We call them vertices. Vertices. So you have to count all your vertices. And on a cube, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the other side, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. Okay? You need to remember that. We're not just counting one side. You have to count both sides here. All right? All right. Next one, we have our cone. Our cone. So, our cone can roll, but what I want you to remember about the cone is it does have one flat surface right here. And since it only has the one, we'll call this the flat surface. See that? And then it has one corner, which we will call a vertex, because there's only one vertex. One flat space and one vertex. All right, and then we have our sphere. Remember the sphere? It's like a ball, see? We call it a sphere when it's in its 3D form like this. Does this sphere have any faces? Does it have any vertices? Does it have anything else other than it being round? So then you need to remember, this has no vertices, it has no faces, it has no flat surfaces at all. So don't let that paper try to confuse you, okay? All right, and so on one of your papers, this one right here, let me pull it out. I want you to grab this paper right here. It has a soccer ball, a cube, looks like a drum, and a tent. Okay? I'll fold it over so you can see it a little better. What shape in our 3D shapes can that soccer ball resemble? So if I look at my 3D shapes, what shape would resemble a soccer ball or a basketball? A sphere. Okay? A sphere. Round, just like a soccer ball or a basketball. And it asks you, how many flat surfaces does it have? How many vertices does it have? And how many edges does it have? Remember, an edge are these things right here. 1, 2, 3. These are the edges right here. These are the faces. That's not an edge. The edge are these parts right here. This part right here. This part, okay? Does the sphere have any edges? Nope. All right, the next one is, it looks like a box there, and that box would resemble my cube, and it asks you how many flat surfaces does it have, how many vertices, and how many edges. Right here are your edges. So I want you to take a good look at the example in here, and you'll be able to count it properly. But remember, whatever's in the front here is also in the back. You just can't see it. There's also a flat surface on the bottom. So it's kind of hard when you all don't have all these at home, and in our classroom we would have them. So I want you to do your best. You could look at other videos of these on YouTube if you want, and it'll help you give a better idea of exactly how many edges and faces and vertices that your objects have. All right, the other one looks like a drum. You see that drum? And what shape would I have that would resemble a drum in my 3D shapes? My cylinder. My cylinder. So this is a bigger version of my cylinder, and this is a smaller version of it. This could resemble a drum. And it wants to know how many flat surfaces does your drum have, and you could use a sphere as your example. How many flat surfaces? Does this sphere have any edges? Does it have any corners? I'm not going to tell you that, but you should know by looking at it. And it wants you to fill that in. And finally it asks, it looks like a tent here. What shape looks like a tent there? I'm going to say it would be my triangular prism here. It looks exactly like a tent. And it wants to know how many flat surfaces does this tent have? I'm going to see one here. I definitely see one here. There's one right here, and one on the bottom, okay? So we got, if I hold it this way, I got one here, one in the front, one in the back, and one in the bottom. How many did you count? And then it wants to know how many vertices. These are your corners. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want you to count your corners and your edges. Your edges are right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're going to count your edges, okay? Remember, you have an edge right here on the top. Do not forget to count that top edge as well, all right? All right, that's it. I'm going to end this video quickly because I'm having a really hard time downloading them when they get too long. And what I'll do is I'll just make more smaller ones so it's easier to follow me, okay? I miss you guys so much. And I love you. Bye.